Hey guys, Mike Toy, Bonsai, Boise. So today I'm going to be working on this Oakleaf Sumac. So I got this about 2 years ago, and when I first put it into this training pot, I did not bare root it. I just more or less cut about 3/4 of the roots off, put it in here, surrounded it with new bonsai soil. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into this new pot, and this is just a terracotta pot. It's actually a saucer for a large terracotta pot that I just drilled holes in, and I think I made a video on that too if you care to see it. But that's going to be its new pot, so it's a little bit bigger, as you can see. Hopefully you can see. So it's a little bit bigger, and I'm gonna get rid of the problem that I'm having now, which is erosion. So just the way that it's set up in here, the soil is kind of eroding off the sides. That's what these stones are for, is to stop that from happening. So a couple other things I'm going to do is some structural changes. You'll notice this has 3 main branches coming off of the trunk here, and you don't want that. You want to have 2 main branches coming off of the trunk, otherwise you can end up with reverse taper, which is what is starting to happen here. Reverse taper, if you don't know, or if you haven't heard that before, is just when instead of getting the nice taper you want, where it's thick toward the base and it slowly tapers up, it does the reverse. So it's thick at the base and then gets wider at the top. It looks goofy, and you don't want that in bonsai. So, and how you get that is by having things like this, too many branches in one location. So it creates too much growth in that spot, and it starts to bulge up, which is what's starting to happen right there. So I'm gonna have to make a choice here and decide which of these 3 branches has to go. Then I've got this other weird aerial root, which I'm still on the fence about. I can't decide if I want to keep it or not. It's just so goofy and and weird, and part of me likes it because of that, and part of me thinks it should go. So that's a decision I'm going to have to make. So follow me. Let's go ahead and get it out of the soil and into its new pot and do some trimming on this guy and see how it looks. Okay, so let's get started. So a couple things I'll tell you about Oakleaf Sumacs. Number one, I'm not an expert on them. I'm not like a oak leaf scientist or anything, but I've had this one for a couple of years, and I have one other. So I've watched them and kind of gotten used to their habits a little bit. They seem to be slow growers. They have little unexpected spurts where they blossom a lot, and then they'll just kind of sit and not do much for months at a time. So that's what attracted me to this one when I found it. I got this at a nursery because it really looks old, and the bark is really kind of flaky and weathered looking. So it's sort of hard to find on these. So that's one thing. One other thing is they stink. I mean, when you make a cut, they smell bad. So one of the slang terms I've heard is skunkbush. And that's no joke. It really does stink. So, and their sap, let me see here. There was one right here. I'll show you. Hopefully you can see that. I'm trying to get a good look. So right there. So they start secreting a lot of that sap when you make a cut, and that stuff is super sticky, like more than even normal sap for whatever reason. I don't know why. So that's why I'm wearing gloves, because I'm about to make some big cuts and I don't want that sticky, smelly sap all over me. So, so here we go. That being said, a couple things I'm going to do right off the bat is I'm just going to trim some of these longer branches down. So I always find a bud that is facing in the direction that I want it to grow, and that's where I'll make the cut. So in this case, I'm going to go here. I'll leave a little bit of room there for dieback. Up here. Yeah, see, I can already smell it. Man, that stinks. See, I would like to cut it here, but the bud is facing inward and I want it to face out, so I'm going to go there. Over here, I think I'm okay. Now, as for the big branch that's got to go, I looked at it and I thought about it quite a bit, and what I decided is that it's gonna have to be this one, this middle one right here. And the reason is that if I were to keep it, it's too close. I knew I wanted to keep this one. Let me start with that. So I liked this one here. I liked how it's got this move. The trunk sort of naturally flows this way. So I knew I wanted to keep that one. So then I had to decide between these two. And looking at these two, this one has this long spot here with no branches, so I don't like that. I'm hoping to get some back budding on here. But there's a bigger space between this one and this one, which is better. It's better than to have your branches go outward like this rather than going up and just out a little tiny bit. So that being said, one other reason too is that this has this long, straight, narrow spot with no branches in between. Similar to this, but at least this one's got a little movement to it. This one does not. So unfortunately, it's gonna have to be this one. So let's go. Big cut right there. Okay, I'm gonna have to clean that up a little bit here. So I'm gonna get rid of the smaller branch. Unfortunately, these have dulled up quite a bit, so I might have to go back to those clippers. Yeah, I don't know what I did to dull these things up so bad. They were sort of okay, and then one day they just weren't. I'm gonna clean this up a little bit from a previous cut that I couldn't get in there to get last year. Hopefully I said that right, get in there to get. And I always do my cuts and styling before I repot it, because once I get it in the new pot, it's not quite established all the way. It's a little flimsier. So doing stuff like this could knock it out of the position that I put it in. And so I always try to do the cuts first and then repot it. So right now I'm trying to do this without knocking it out too much, but it's pretty sturdy in this pot. Okay, just a little bit of cleanup here. Got one other tool I'm going to use for that. Sorry, camera turned off there, so I'm not sure what the last thing was that you saw. Probably my big fat head bending down to get these. So I'm just going to do a little cleanup work here. There we go. Probably good enough for now, just while we're getting an idea. So already I'm actually liking the way that looks better. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna roll with that. Now that being said, the big question here is this goofy aerial root, or I don't even know if I'd call it an aerial root. It's almost just like a miniature weird little trunk or something that's coming off of the main trunk. Unfortunately, I think it's gonna have to go. I mean, it's goofy and weird, and I'm telling you, I'm really tempted to keep it, but it takes away from the whole thing. So as unique as it is, it's not gonna add to the final form that I've got in my mind, which I wanna get a nice old looking tree, almost like an old forest oak or something like that. And that's just gonna take away from that vision. So I'm gonna have to get rid of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. Oh, this hurts a little. That was one of the features that I noticed about it when I first found it. But that's bonsai for you. Sometimes you just gotta make big cuts and you can't be afraid to do it. Yet I'm always still afraid to do it. But rarely do I make a big cut and then regret it. It almost always looks better when it's said and done. And this looks to be no exception. I already like it better. See if I can get it out of here so it's out of our way. Maybe. There we go. Okay. So there it is now. It looks a little naked almost, but that's okay. So I'm just gonna clean this up a bit. That'll work. Oh, wait. I get a little more off. The reason I'm being so particular here about this is that when you make a big cut on a tree, it wants to scar over. And it takes a long time for it to cover up and be smooth. So for a long time, what you get is a big bulge right there because it scars over and then this new growth happens on top of it and you get this big bulge. So it's better if you can to almost make it cut an indent out of it so that when it does bulge over, it bulges over and sort of stays smooth with the rest of the trunk. All right, so that settles that. I gotta make a decision on this. I don't know if I want to keep this here or not. I'm kind of thinking I don't. And same with this, but this one I will. This is my insurance branch for here. Because I've got this long spot with nothing going on. I may eventually someday have to get rid of this. So we're going to keep this for now. I am going to shorten down some of these branches up top here. Again, I'm picking buds that are outward facing or at least facing in the direction I want it to go. Okay. Boy, this thing really smells bad when you make cuts. Like, I just can't stress it enough. This thing smells so terrible. Ugh. Okay. I think this one's gonna have to go. Let's get an idea here. So here's something I'll do. Usually when I can't decide is I'll just sort of cover it up and look at it. And yeah, so if you do that, you can just cover it up and see it from there. I do think it looks better without it, so we're gonna get rid of that. Away it goes. I'm gonna chip away at this just a little more real quick. Like so. Clean this up. Okay. I may even do something different up here because that's really close. Here, let me see if I can turn this around. See how that's really close from being 3 branches out of 1 location. What you want is 2. That's borderline. So if I wanted to make a cut up here, I'd have to decide between one of these 3. Kind of torn here on that. I'm just going to leave it alone for now and we'll let it go. I can, when I'm this much in doubt, I just do nothing and then give it a little time and make a decision then. Sometimes the answer just presents itself. So now, I'm going to take it out of this old soil here and put it in its new pot. So let's dig into that. Okay, so I'm gonna start by taking off these rocks. These rocks were there originally to both A, hold it in place, and B, slow down the erosion that was happening every time I watered this. The soil was just flowing right off of the pot. So I'm gonna start just by raking out some of the soil on top here. And I'm gonna pull it out of the pot. Okay, and there we go. That was easy. Came right out of there. So, I'm gonna go ahead and rake off all the soil. I'm gonna put it in, what do you call it? Fast forward. Time lapse, that's the word I was looking for. It's a hard word. I'm gonna put it in time lapse now, so you don't have to watch 20 minutes of me raking out dirt. Instead, you can watch like 30 seconds of it. So, let's go. All right, so there it is, the Oakleaf Sumac. So I will say one thing about putting rocks on. I don't have little kids and cats and dogs that are gonna knock it over. If you do, you might want to wire your tree into your pot. I don't, so I can sort of get away with it for now. Now I said that, I might jinx it and it might happen. Hopefully not. Anyway, that's a look at it there, so hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to explain one thing about why I'm keeping this branch though. This is going to be a sacrificial branch. So the reason I'm doing this is that by having this extra branch here, and all the foliage is going to come on top, what's going to happen is that the trunk is going to get thicker. Because of course the more branches and foliage you have, the thicker the trunk gets. It's the only way to thicken a trunk. And so what's going to happen is after maybe 2-3 seasons of using this branch for that purpose, I'm going to cut right there. And then what'll happen is it will start to smooth out and create taper because it'll be thicker down here and grow thinner as it goes up. And this will be gone, so it'll sort of blend in with this top portion here. So that's the idea. Things can change, obviously, but that's my rationale for now. So had I had that plan going into this, I wouldn't have cut anything off of these branches here. I would have just let them go, because who cares? It's just a sacrificial branch anyway. But that's my reasoning. So anyways, let me give you a look here. We're going to start here at the front. There it is. So I hope you got something out of that. If so, please click like and subscribe on the video, and subscribe to the channel, and you can see updates on this. And you can watch previous videos on this one or on any of the other trees. I must have 30 or so different species of bonsai tree that I play with. So if you can't find what you're looking for, shoot me a message too. I'm on Facebook and Instagram and all the other things. So anyways, I appreciate everybody who does, and I hope you liked the video. So thanks for watching. Have a good day.